September TBR is stacked. There is a readathon, there are buddy reads, it's just all going to be wonderful chaos. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris, and today's video is the September TBR. Now before we jump into that video, make sure you're checking the description box down below for links to my social media and Discord should you want to come along for the ride. Now, like I said, we've got a pretty stacked September here. I'm part of the Wizardly Duos Discord readathon. I am in Team Warrior, so go team. Really hoping to get some points there, which means I've got a lot of books on this list to get through to make sure that my team gets the most amount of points. Starting off, we've got two buddy reads happening. The first one is happening with Roger over at Roger's Reads. We'll be reading the Faithful and the Fallen series by Mr. John Gwynne, starting with Malice. Now, I've got to wait for a library copy of Malice to come in because all of my copies of the Faithful and the Fallen are in Perth in a box. I think that will be happening fairly early in the month because the library loan comes in, I want to say around the 5th. So we'll see when that happens. I feel like this is a book and a series and an author that needs no introduction. If you haven't read Faithful and the Fallen and you'd like to, let me know, because there is room for more buddies on this buddy read. The next book that I'm going to be picking up, and this is with Esme Roslin, again, Roger from Roger's Reads, and Mark Timoney, and Andy Peliquin is going to be joining us for this one, is Christopher Russell's Divinity's Twilight. So there are currently 2 books out in this series, and we'll be doing Divinity's Twilight in September, forgot the month, and the second book, Divinity's Remnant, in October. Again, forgot the month. Want to say August for both of them. August forever, everyone. For those of you who don't know what Divinity's Twilight is about, this one is a world consumed by war, an ancient evil resurrected, a millennia-old bargain comes due. When 2 blades clash, the third will fall, and the fate of all will be jeopardized. To save Lazaria, the follies of the past must be atoned for by a new generation of heroes. The time has come for mortals to cast off sight, and in doing so, truly come to see. Victory is never absolute. 7 centuries ago, the forces of order won by the Illrite War on the plains of the Harmonth Darmatus and Rabban Aurelian slew their elder brother Scarson. Lots of fantasy words in this blurb. The despotic architect of the conflict then sacrificed themselves to banish the cataclysmic vortex opened with his dying breath. That sounds cool. The first advent of the Oblivion Well was thwarted. Even without their vanished gods, the 7 races of Lazaria proved themselves capable of safeguarding their world. Or so the story goes. The year is now 697 ABH, or after the Battle of Harmonth. Though war itself remains much the same, the weapons with which it is waged have evolved. Airships bearing powerful cannons ply the skies already in, reducing the influence of mages and their spells. Long-range communication has brought far-flung regions of Lazaria closer than ever before. At the center of this technological revolution are the 3 Terran states of Darmatia, Raban, and Scarsonia, who have fought a near-ceaseless campaign of 700 years in an attempt to best each other. The roots of their enmity lie buried beneath the wasteland of Harmonth, a place all 3 nations consider best forgotten. However, an ancient power sealed within Harmonth has not forgotten them, and the descendants of those who fought on that field must now take a stand to rectify the mistakes of their past. I've heard nothing but excellent things about this series. I've spoken to the author before, really cool guy, and very much looking forward to jumping into this one. It sounds quite serious by the blurb, but I have been told there are some quite funny moments within the pages there, so I'm very, very curious to see what all that is about. The next thing that I've got going on is my vlog in September is going to be dedicated to SPFBO9 or SPIFBO, whatever you want to call it, and I've got 3 SPIFBO reads happening. The first one is going to be Return of the Knights by Gregory Contaxis. This is one I did not get done in the month of August, so I'm going to be doing that and vlogging that in the month of September, so that will be the first week. I will also be pairing this with Legacy of the Vermillion Blade by J. Tolsquall. This is an LGBTQIA+ friendly novel novel. I believe the second book is coming out in October, so I want to be able to read that one, so I'm ready for the release of book 2 and have a review for the first book around the time that the second is released, so people can see if they want to jump into the series. I will read the blurb for Legacy of the Vermillion Blade. I read the blurb for Return of the Knights in my August TBR, so you can go and check that one on out if interested. Legacy of the Vermillion Blade says, Talon Cor Vermain is not only the sole inheritor of his house lands, titles, and political power, but also the pact his family has forged with the darkness through countless generations. From birth, Talon's father tethered his son's life to the family's bloodline and his own ambitions of power, but everything changes when a new blacksmith and his young apprentice Richard join the staff at the Cor Vermain estate. With their faithful meeting, Talon's life changes course forever, derailing the meticulously laid out existence planned for him. From his family's estates and the countryside of Erlon to the extents of the Zalian Empire and the dwarven kingdom of Limehold, Talon discovers the different aspects of love, true family, and himself as he battles his cursed blood and the shackles to darkness his father bound him with. This has a sexual rep in it. I don't think there are enough books with a sexual representation in it, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I've heard it's beautifully written, but somewhat devastating. So if you're into that kind of thing, you're more than welcome to join me on this one as well. The last book that I will be reading in the Spiffbo blog, I'll be listening to this one, is The Fall Is All There Is by C.M. Chaplin. I've heard this is a very unique fantasy, and I think I've read the blurb before in a indie release video, but I will remind everyone here. All Peter Mercy wanted was a good old-fashioned dramatic exit from his life as a prince, but it's been 5 years since he fled home on a cyborg horse. Now the king, his dad, is dead, and Peter has to decide which heir to pledge his thyroid-powered sword to. As the youngest in a set of quadruplets, he's all too aware that the line of succession is murky. His siblings are on the precipice of power grabs, and each of them want him to pick their side. If Peter has any hope of preventing civil war, he'll have to avoid one sibling who wants to take him hostage, win back another's trust after years of rivalry and resentment, and get an audience with a sister he's been avoiding for 5 years. Before he knows it, he's plunged himself into a web of intrigue and a world of strange, unnatural inventions just to get to her doorstep. This sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. It does sound unique as well, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. This has been on my radar since Spiffbo was announced, and even before then when the book was announced. I have followed CM Chaplin over on Twitter and really enjoy what comes through there, or X, or whatever it's called. The next section of the TBR is dedicated to sequel arcs from series that started either this year or last year, which are now having their book 2s looking to release in either September, October, or November. So I've got 3 of these. I won't go too much into them because I don't want to spoil anything, but these are what are on my radar. The first one I'm going to read is Echoes of the Storm by Cam Sinclair. This is the follow-up to Shadows of the Winter Moon. This is book 2 of the Craven Chronicles. Again, we've got an incredible cover. This fantasy was dark. It was just wild and very action-packed and fast to read. I can't wait to read the second installment of this series. The next one I've got is No Safe Haven. This is by James Lloyd Doolan and is the follow-up to No Heart for a Thief, which came out earlier this year. Again, cover is incredible. Really enjoy the first book. Very much looking forward to reading the second installment. And then we have The Sun Prince by Luke Schultz. This is the follow-up to A King's Radiance, which released early last year, potentially late 2021. Don't quote me on that. I read it somewhat recently, and I'm very much looking forward to the second installment. I've been bugging Luke to make sure that I'm on that arc team because I want to read this book so much. So those are the 3 arcs that I've got for this month. And the final book, lucky last, that I have is my first SPSFC entry for the year. I am part of Team Epic Indie, who are going to be one of the judges for this competition, and it's time to start on that slush pile. One of the books allocated to me is Wixon's Day. This is by Phil Williams, and it's post-apocalyptic. I just love those words when they are spoken to me in a sci-fi sense, so I'm very much looking forward to this one. Wixon's Day says, he wanted to see the ruined world, Now he has to save it. Marcus travels Italia's waterways with a secret. The girl hiding below deck was rescued from the mines. Can he get her home safely before disappearing into the north? She opened his eyes to the true nature of Estalia's guards. Kidnapping children is the least of their crimes. There's a secret war coming closer to home, and their terrible weapons point back to the time before the darkness. Are the rebels right to resist the only order left in the world? Marcos cannot run from the truth. It's a fight he must join on one side or the other, but can he protect what's left of the world, or will he become instrumental in its destruction? This sounds really cool. It's a nice short book at around 300 to 350 pages. Very much looking forward to jumping into it. My group of books that I have, which I will talk about later in a video coming later in September, is very much post-apocalyptic, dystopian, things that I love in the sci-fi sphere. So I'm very much looking forward to those. Those are all the books I've got for the month of September on my radar. What are you picking up this month? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like the content, give it one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video. Ciao.